Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. Okay, first of all, thank you to Kai Lear on Twitter for this photo. I love it. Second of all, I beg everybody's forgiveness for the previous videos. I was on vacation. I was having issues with my phone. That's why my voice was going up and down. That should have been taken care of. And number three, because this video is so freaking long because we're catching up, I have no choice but to break it up into two videos. So this is part one, and it says part one. The other one will say part two. All right, let's jump in and get there. We're going to start off this morning with Queen Camilla. She was with the Duchess of Gloucester. They installed her as an honorary liveryman, I hope I'm saying that right, of the Worshipful Company of Fan Makers. That's a mouthful. The Duchess of Gloucester was made an honorary liveryman in 2005. This is the first thing that Camilla's done since she came back to London with Charles, for his cancer treatments. There's this whole ceremony, which by the way took place at Clarence House, which we know is Camilla and Charles' long-term home. So what they did was they put a robe on her by the master fan maker. She was then presented with a fan designed by Stuart Parvin, commissioned in 2020, which is to mark the impact of COVID-19 on so many people. How interesting is that? She also met representatives. Apparently there's a fan museum. She has been the patron of that museum since 2008, and she also met the court of fan makers. See, these are those nuggets of information that I normally would not know, that there's a whole fan making group, and it's just stuff that you just normally wouldn't see. And as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce. Loving that. All right, let's move on now to Princess Anne. Princess Anne went to Hengistbury Head to visit the National Coast Watch Station. She met with the volunteers on Valentine's Day the 14th, and we know that she is the royal patron of the National Coast Watch Institution, which, by the way, this charity is run entirely by volunteers, and this year they're celebrating their 30th anniversary of helping others save lives. She was welcomed in by the Lord Lieutenant of Dorset. Princess Anne got to see the watch room. She got to meet the highly trained volunteer watch keepers. And they start at 8 a.m. and they close at sunset. So there's an 11-hour coverage and beyond if needed. And apparently this station is one of the busiest in the network. Well, that's interesting to know. Now, when this was over, Princess Anne went to a reception at the St. Nicholas Church Hall. She then unveiled a commemorative plaque, which is going to be placed into the station. She then presented 5-year service awards to 6 of the watch keepers who have been there, doing their jobs. I think it's just amazing that they're all volunteers. And the reception, just as an FYI, was attended by more than 50 watch keepers and station managers from other stations in the region. All right, now we're going to move on, but still sticking with Princess Anne. She went on to do investitures at Windsor Castle. It was the 5th investiture done by the Princess Royal in 2024, the 6th for the British royal family in 2024 as well. And we all know that the one other investiture was done by Prince William. Moving on now. We're going to move now back to Queen Camilla. She went to the Kindred Studios pop-up hub in Shepherd's Bay a couple of days ago. It's an art studio and creative space. Very interesting. While she was there, somebody had done an art piece on Princess Charlotte. I think that's very well done. These are some really creative people. Anyway, this place is there to encourage arts, crafts, and community cohesion. Very nice. While she was there, she also met costume designer, oh my goodness, here we go, Simon Velarde Laufer. Woo, that's a mouthful. That is quite a costume, I have to say. It's elaborate, very red, and I love the face covering of it. I just think that's very pretty. I am loving Camilla's dedication to her work while Charles is busy having his cancer surgery, All right, let's keep with Camilla. We're going to go back to Valentine's Day. The Queen went to watch British acting royalty. Dom Judi Dench, Gary Oldman, Robert Lindsay. It was a really big star-studded event, and they were celebrating the work of William Shakespeare. So she went to London's Grosvenor House Hotel, and they've played, a bunch of these actors played in Hamlet, and it just really amazing. The Queen's sister Annabelle was with her on this visit as well. Camilla sat among what I like to call Shakespearean royalty. Yes, I said it. So this is Gary Oldman, who performed on stage. Then you have Giles Walker, who wore a Valentine's Day sweater. You have Dom Judi Dench. We all know who she is. I was shocked. There's Vanessa Redgrave on the left. I haven't seen her in so long. I think she just looks amazing. Anyway, at the end of the evening, she was given sweaters, matching sweaters for her and Charles that had hearts on the front. I just think that's adorable. They're matching. I hope they wear them out in public. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I hope they do. And as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Camilla was wearing. Moving on. Now, while Queen Camilla stayed to do, her meetings, King Charles went back to Sandringham by himself. The pictures of him, though, he looks like he's in high spirits. We know he's going to have some cancer treatment later on this month. And he looks great. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to Harry and Meghan. But before we do, once again, misinformation is being put out by mainstream media. If you look below, let me zoom in for you. The Invictus Games was put together by the Royal Foundation, which was William and Catherine and Prince Harry with the Ministry of Defense. So all these people saying it was all Harry, that is incorrect. He is not responsible for what happened here. This was done by the royal family to give Harry something to do. He's the one running around saying, I did it, but he didn't. And that is why you see these pictures from when it was first started. All right, moving on. This is just another something I wanted to point out. Remember, Meghan said the palace made her dress like Diana. She was cosplaying Diana because the palace made her do it. But yet, Mason Harriman, who I guess was being paid by Invictus, took these personal photos of Meghan, again, dressed like Diana, at the last Invictus Games in Germany when they were meeting with the Canadians. Yep. One more thing I want to bring up, I saw this on Twitter. Apparently, since the Mirror settled with Harry and Meghan, part of that settlement, it's being reported, is they are now printing without comment press release information supplied to them by Harry and Meghan. If this is true, that means that the Mirror is basically just PR for Harry and Meghan. They'll print whatever they give them. Moving on. Let's move on now to the fact that Meghan Markle finally got another podcast deal. No, it's not with a name brand company because, to be quite honest, I don't think name brand companies would touch her with a 10-foot pole. Meghan put out a statement, I'm proud to share I'm going to join the brilliant team at Lemonada to continue my love of podcasting. Your love of podcasting took you 3 years to put out 13 episodes that tanked. Nobody wanted it. I mean, Spotify built you a studio in your home, 13 producers and other people doing the interviews, and yet you love podcasting. Right. Let's not forget it's Bill Simmons here who sold his podcast to Spotify for $200 million. Now, because of all the money they're laying out to people, especially Harry and Meghan, they're now laying off, Spotify is, over 200 staff members. Now, of course, her new boss has come out saying she's an unparalleled content creator. Now, this company bears the motto, make life suck less. Yeah, right. Now, what they said is their plan is to re-release Archetype so more people can have access to it. I'm sorry, if you couldn't access it on Spotify, you don't need these people to re-release it. I mean, this is such a joke. What they've done is they've taken her on for the publicity, which is good for their company. Well, good for them, but anybody can get it. Nobody wants it. It was a flop. All right, you guys, that is the end of part 1. Continue on now to part 2. It will be labeled part 2. Come join me.